broken in the Canadian system is the academic publishing environment, where you have maybe 5 to 6 major presses, each with big capacity problems, like University of Toronto Press, 200 books a year, McGill Queen's maybe 150 books a year. The others are all in the 40 books a year. And so what is broken? Well, the system is broken in that there are no resources being devoted to scholarly communication. We pay the professors, we pay people in our institutions to do, we have granting council grants to do all this wonderful research, but in the end we say, oh well, the marketplace has to determine whether your book will get out. The marketplace, that is sales, must determine whether it's worth reading. So a book that may only have a print run, let's say, of 200 to 300, is not one that a press is interested in because you can't meet a bottom line. You'd only do it if you got a grant. So some of the great ideas which could shape a future will never or could never get out. Now, the way to solve it, I believe, is if every university actually devoted 1% of its budget, 1% of its expenditures to scholarly communication in its various devices, we would have solved the problem ages ago. And when I first mentioned to some people the 1% solution, like some of the funders of the university to the governing council, everyone said 1%, that seems awfully small when you're spending around 80% of your entire budget on the brain power and building people's 1%. But you realize that 1%, if AU spent 1%, it would be more than any other institution in this country did in scholarly communication. So for a small university to be dominant in a publishing enterprise is very, very easy. It's simply a commitment to scholarly communication. It's a commitment to faculty, it's a commitment to research, and it's a commitment to community to say we believe what we do should be out there for the public to understand, for other scholars to understand, to read, for students to understand and read. And it's our job to disseminate it at no cost to the consumer, who you can argue is already paid for it. Well, if we fix that system, I still believe we need what's been known as a press for scholarly communication, albeit in an open access way. And what I mean by open access is everything is online, is freely available, pursuant to Creative Commons copyright license. If you want a print copy, obviously there are costs involved, and we have to put limits on that. And I also believe in using the new technologies to enhance the publication. The number one issue that is facing the open movement, particularly the open access movement, also the open educational resource movement, which is very entwined, is the whole issue of quality. Quality is the single most important I think issue we have to worry about. And I say that because as a person who believes in open source, open access, open educational resources, open universities, I find that that movement is being attacked from the quality angle everywhere. Why, for example, have the Americans put in some severe restrictions on student loans? That you can't use them at distance institutions because they don't believe there's quality there. Why have some governments started to impose that you must have 60% of your courses must be in residence? Because they're afraid of what the open movement might mean. You could argue they're also worried about quality. Well, we know that the quality issue is a specious one. We know that our outcomes are more successful. We know all of that, but we have to continue to demonstrate it, which is why at an open access press you must have an editorial board. And the editorial board must be active. The editorial board must be interdisciplinary. And in fact, that's what Athabasca University Press has, is a very active editorial board. In fact, I would argue it is the most active editorial board that carefully and legitimately debates the manuscripts. To me, that's hugely important, because again, that puts open access publication within the realm of the academy as distinct from something totally separate outside that someone deals with. You shove a manuscript under the transom and hope to God that somebody says yes to it. That's not the way, and that's not the way we run a press. And I'm not suggesting that others do exactly that, and I exaggerate for effect. So the quality issues are so important. Peer review is the one way that the academy has traditionally dealt with peer review, with quality, and I think that has to continue. Athabasca University Press, in fact, purposefully solicited a major shareholder at the University of Alberta to submit a manuscript, and that was the manuscript that was longlisted for the Cundill Prize as the best history book in the world. It was one of the, I think the only Canadian book that was actually nominated for that prize out of McGill. That was hugely important to us, and that shows you that open access can be very prestigious, that senior scholars will go that route, but then we have to at the same time honor that gift of that manuscript to us through a quality agenda. And there's many, many ways of achieving quality within a new kind of press. For example, could you have an open access press that only produced some products digitally that were in fact ever evolving websites, so that every day it changed? Well, yes, that's when you have to put your head around it and say, how do we assure quality of that? How do we ensure a perpetual peer review? Do we do it from time to time? Do we do it every day? Does the editorial board that has oversight to that particular website have particular responsibilities? Well, again, that's where Athabasca University is in an enviable position, because we can do innovation in the editorial quality process. Again, I can't emphasize enough how important that is. The second issue that obviously we need to address, and I've mentioned it before, is the financial issue. And the financial issue, and it's a reputational issue, it's a quality issue, but they're all wrapped up into money. For a while, some of the granting agencies that support publication are not keen on having material only in a digital format. So whether we like it or not, in order to get H. Scotti publishing money, I understand we have to do several hundred hard copies, whether we like it or not. So again, the granting bodies are mired in the past, and we just have to deal with it. We can fight to change that, but at the moment there's still some sense of a lack of confidence in digital environments there. That will change. I suspect within 5 years that will no longer be an issue. But for it not to be an issue, open access publishers have to really focus on the preservation agenda as well as a quality agenda. And to me, preservation is a subset of quality anyway. The other big item that has not been addressed as widely yet as it should is the whole issue of what I call distribution issues. Now you can say putting it on the website, that's distribution. You know, you eventually search engines will get you and you'll be out there. Well, unfortunately, that's not the way the information world works. You still have to do marketing. For example, I deposit my material as a good post-secondary citizen into a digital depository. Now you go to, so it's free of